and welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad in Madrid, Spain. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm here with Pro Tour Hall of Famer Randy Buehler, and we're going to watch a draft. Let's take a look at this table, Randy, because this is a juicy one. What's going on as you sit down and look at this table?
World champion, player of the year,
world champion.
Both. Yeah. This season, I will say though, Brad Nelson, if anybody has the plum seats, I mean, Alan Wu has played a couple Pro Tours in a row. I mean, he's qualified, but relatively new. I don't know if that means Brad's got an okay seat. Brad's also, I know, talked a lot with Valentin. This is insane. Let's just look at some packs.
Yeah, much like Luis Scott Vargas, I have a fever to watch some draft picks here. Let's take a look at Brad Nelson as he opens up his first booster pack of Shadows over Innistrad. All right, so what are we seeing here,
Was that a
Randy?
Fiery Temper that went by? I think there might have been a Soul Swallower. Yeah, it was.
Okay, there we go. Just the cameraman zoomed in a little bit better for us. See a Stone Quarry, a Press for Answers. There is a Fiery Temper in that pack. See a Rancid Rats, but the card that gets pulled to the front is a Duskwatch Recruiter.
Okay, that was reduced to ashes, right? Not Fiery Temper?
Yeah.
No, it is Fiery Temper. He took the Duskwatch Recruiter.
Yeah, he took
okay.
Duskwatch Recruiter
so Duskwatch Recruiter over Fiery Temper. Great.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great pack to open.
Yeah. That was
some nice choices. Sorry, I was having trouble reading the glare a little bit. But
Duskwatch Recruiter, basically the best non-rare in the set.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for Pat Guardian. You can make a case for Near Heath Chaplain. But I have Duskwatch Recruiter #1, so a great open. I also know that Brad thinks green is the best color. I mean, he's totally open. His draft strategy is to have the people around him tell him what colors to get into, and then just draft the best cards possible. He does not want to force anything in particular. That said, he thinks green is probably the best color, and I think he's maybe tempted by the Sage here.
Sage of Animus Lord, Near Heath Chaplain.
It's in his color. Near Heath Chaplain is...
There's also an Angelic Purge, which is one of the top commons.
Wow, that's a Near Heath Chaplain. Yeah. Okay, it's enough better than the Sage that he's willing to go into a second color for it. Now what?
There's a Throttle.
Okay.
Kind of a medium common in most people's estimation.
Yeah, Howlpack Wolf. But what? I mean, he's got a good green card and a good white card. This is where booster draft gets tricky, right?
It's also a Stitch Mangler. A lot of people consider that to be the top blue common. But blue is not a color a lot of people want to be in if given their choice.
Yeah, I think he just takes the best card. And I think this is, you see Brad again, trying not to force anything. He wants to just pick up the most power he can, right? What are the best cards available to me? Can I pick those up? And yeah, Throttle was the best card in that pack, even though it's not in his colors.
I see him sifting.
Oh, Goo Caller's Apprentice, okay. So a decent black card. Is the table telling him to go black?
Not a ton in this pack here for him. See an Insolent Neonate.
Yeah, no, this pack is not great. I mean, Goo Caller's Apprentice, probably the best card in there. I know Brad was actually black-blue in his 3-0 draft yesterday, and this is a guy who hasn't 3-0'd a draft pod at the Pro Tour in many, many years.
Yeah.
You got to go back to his Player of the Year run 5-6 years ago, and he feels that. He keeps, trying to tweak with this playtesting process to try to get as good at limited as he is as constructed. I mean, this is a guy who's just been crushing standard in particular for years now. So if he can put it all together, that's what he did yesterday.
He joined Team Eureka for this event and said he never felt more prepared for a limited event in his entire career.
That's awesome.
So Quilled Wolf.
Yeah, Quilled Wolf looks like the pick here. It's a good 2-drop.
He's also a pretty good late game 2-drop.
Right. Well, that's part of what makes it a good 2-drop is it lets you curve out, but then it's also got that 6-mana activated ability, so it's still a relevant body late in the game. That pick makes total sense.
Not seeing a ton of green going past him though, so he may be thinking about getting out of there.
And random big Thornhide Wolves.
Yeah, that's their random big.
I might be tempted by the Inspiring Captain here. I mean, he's got a Near Heath Chaplain. Green-white tends to have human synergies. He's looking at the Wolf,
I love that card myself. But yeah, he's you know what, I'm going to plant a flag in green here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The value of cutting the green card is certainly high. He hasn't passed a lot of green. He first picked the Duskwatch Recruiter. Wow, he's got Duskwatch Recruiter and Near Heath Chaplain, right? He's got just Some stud
There's
uncommons.
an Intrepid Provisioner.
Right, if he was green-eyed humans. I don't know that he's white, though. He seems, I think, to be leaning toward the black. Whatever, you take Intrepid Provisioners.
There's a Watcher in the Web. I know that his team, if you're going to be green-black like Watcher in the Web, they don't like it in any other color combination other than green-black. I mean,
Sure.
You might play it in a pinch, but he takes Intrepid Provisioner. Maybe
The
thinking,
Voldaren Duel is going a little bit late there, too.
wow, that might find its way all the way around to a certain player, another player of the year at this table. There's a Clip Wings.
Gibbering Fiends is probably the best card here, but he can't play it. Clip Wings,
Yeah,
sure.
takes
Put
the
that in the
Clip Wings.
sideboard. Solid pick. I mean, if you cared about Delirium, some people like Shard. Some people think it's unplayable. Some people think it's the key to making Delirium work. Don't know which camp
Certainly
Eureka's in.
turns it on early.
Right. Another Clip Wings for the sideboard. True Faith Sensor is a nice pickup here, especially if he does wind up green-white. Those human synergies, +2/+1 in Vigilance is definitely worth it.
Also looking at it to the Slaughter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's
Interesting.
He pulls out from the back of the pack.
So yeah, in his mind, he's leaning green-black.
Yeah. So there's a Stoic Builder,
Sure.
a card that really shines in the Delirium style decks.
And green-black in particular is usually the one that's got that late game, oh, I'm picking my lands up, I'm replaying lands.
Right.
That sort of grindy incremental advantage is
Right.
what green-black specializes in.
Fork in the Road. I was just going to mention that card. Actually, plays very well with Stoic Builder. And this was something actually Eureka identified, that a lot of times you can be at a table and there's green cards that are just going to go around the table late that nobody wants. They're not werewolf synergy cards.
That's
They're
a
not,
great point.
and you're able to end up with this very solid 2/1
Sure.
green-black deck that
Oh,
just has a lot of play in the middle game.
Yeah, Brad, I think, would be delighted to emerge from this pot. Wow, Groundskeeper here? Isn't that exactly what green-black wants?
But if he's thinking about Delirium, he actually takes the Shard of
Jeez.
Broken Glass.
Interesting. Yeah, Brad would be delighted to escape from here for the 2/1. So Nearheath Chaplain wound up as the only white card that he took. He's definitely green-black, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Eureka definitely set up this green-black deck because they felt like it was something that was available. It wanted cards that nobody else wanted, that you can really set yourself up to get past good cards 6th and 11th.
Yeah, so I mean, he's very solidly green-black here. He's got the best uncommon. He's got a premium removal spell. He's got a great 2-drop. He's got some ability to generate card advantage with Fork in the Road, Stoic Builder.
Yep.
Solid pack. I like the way he navigated that. I like the way he stayed open. Got away from that Nearheath Chaplain, which was obviously not
Yeah,
going to
he
be.
could have had a couple Inspiring Captains to go with it, but that's about it. I think I like the audible into green-black.
Okay. Well, he's looking at some cards. We're getting. I see. That
it
looks
Deadweight?
that looks like it might be a Sinister Concoction or a Deadweight, but we're having a little camera difficulty here, and I cannot quite see the cards. I'm pretty sure that's a Sinister Concoction.
Honestly, I think it's both.
That is shuffled to the front here.
Yeah.
It is a Sinister Concoction, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the card he picks here. Okay. And fixed. Sorry about that, folks. Trust me, nobody's more upset about it than Randy and I. All right, here we go. I see oh my gosh. Was that a Pack Guardian?
Wow.
So we talked about cutting off green.
Mission accomplished and reward collected.
And there's also a Rabid Bite.
Jeez.
Possibly the top green common for these guys.
Oh, it is the best green common. I mean, it's one of the best commons in the set. Definitely the best green common. Pack Guardian, though, is in the case for the best uncommon. I mean, you take Pack Guardian here. I can't imagine not taking Pack Guardian. I think that and Duskwatch Recruiter are both in the top 5 uncommons in the set.
Yeah.
It might be 1, too.
Yeah, Heir to Falconwrath finding its way to
Nearheath
some.
Chaplain's in the top 5.
I'm just saying there was Heir to Falconwrath in the pack also.
Sure.
And that's going to find its way. There's some really good black that has not been drafted on camera.
Watcher. There's a Topplgeist if he'd been white, but
He's looking at it.
interesting. How often does the Eureka plan call for splashing? The third color.
Well, I think if you're going to end up with cards like Stoic Builder, Fork in the Road, where you're able to, get some lands out of your graveyard, put lands in, search for lands, you can splash. So it's Ghoul Caller's Accomplice, Biting Rain, or Topplgeist. It looks like...
Yeah, Ghoul Caller's Accomplice seems like... I don't think like he needs to splash. He's got a good, solid green-black deck going. Pack Guardian's double green.
Here we go. There's a Griffspoon.
Yeah, Videl and the Duelist joins the rest of the vampires that are circling the table. Griff's Boon is a very good card, although again, he's...
right to the front of the pack for him.
Is he reconsidering reconsidering white?
I think that's just a card that
It
if
is
you're
by
going to be
far
a
the best card
Delirium
in this
deck,
pack.
also if you just have a light splash, you can mill past it and then just have it steal a game for you. Playing it out of your graveyard for 4 mana.
He's also soft to flyers right now. He doesn't have any watchers. Like the only thing he can do about
if
enemy flyers
my
is
guess
unclip
is
wings
if
from
he
the
wants
board.
a Watcher, he will get
It'll
one.
come. Interesting. Silver Strike. The white cards are open. Yeah,
Yeah, that
white,
seems to be what Brad is identifying here.
it's
There's
a little late
Thornhide
though.
Wolves
He's
in
ignored so
green.
many of them.
So it's Thornhide Wolves or Silver Strike, and it looks like he has
takes Silver
decided
Strike.
that it's
I think he takes Silver
Strike.
Strike.
Yep.
Interesting. So going back into white now that the people on their left are saying, look, it's here. And he kind of had to read that it was open in the first pack. A little bit. I mean, he did get past near Heath Chaplain, so the guy on his right is probably not white. Apothecary Geist.
Look at Fork in the He's
Fork
like,
in the
well,
road.
he just forked in the road in his draft. He's like, okay, well, I might be a little white. Let me play this card here. Yeah, this gives him an opportunity to make sure he gets either his double green to get his Pack Guardian
that's a good
out,
point.
or to have a land in hand for the Pack Guardian so you get maximum value out of it, and also find his white for
Interesting.
a
Are both
possible
our
splash.
featured drafters going to go 3-color? I'm pretty sure Luis is splashing the white in his blue-red. Another...
Murderous Compulsion and Hinterland Logger.
Jeez. Brad's like, why couldn't these be in separate packs? Why couldn't one of these have been in one of the last couple packs?
Yeah,
I want both
Murderous
these cards.
Compulsion is a card.
gotta be
Obviously,
Compulsion, right?
another top common in there.
Yeah. I mean, Hinterland Logger,
Greetings.
because it's a 2-drop, it's a solid card. It's going to show up in a lot of good decks. But Murderous Compulsion, I think it's just a higher power level.
I think when
Strong
you get
Mentor floating to the Vampires player.
there's a Moldgraph Scavenger, which
Sure.
is a nice card to buy you. Sometimes you talked about not having a lot of 2-drops, and it can hit really hard in the Delirium decks.
Agreed. Green-Black's probably the deck where that card's at its best, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And it's a card, you don't even play it in a lot of decks. Like,
No.
Green-White Humans isn't interested in that. The Werewolf deck isn't interested in that card. Is it the Watcher coming around? Oh, Kessig Dire Swine, sorry.
Macabre Waltz.
Macabre Waltz. He doesn't have a lot of beef at the top of his curve, so goes
Yeah.
for the 6/6.
So I take the Kessig Dire Swine, although the dream of Macabre waltzing back a
Oh,
Pack
yeah.
Guardian is a nice dream.
Could get another one.
Veteran
Veteran
Cathar.
Cathar, jeez.
Yeah, that was
There's-
in the pack he took the Pack Guardian out of.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's
Yeah.
another great one.
Yeah,
And-
it was floating back there, and
And now the
came
white,
back around.
if he has white mana in his deck, that card is spectacular.
Yeah, there you see a Stoic Builder, number 2.
Sure.
I think flavor draft wise, you have to take the Cathar's Companion after you take the Veteran Cathar, but we're not playing by those rules today.
Sure.
Okay, Expose Evil. Some Equestrian Skill.
I mean, Brad's deck at this point seems solid, unspectacular, perhaps, but solid.
So this is a deck I know that this group liked a lot. They feel like they really know how to draft.
Mm-hmm.
They have a plan for it. It really does involve the back of the pack. It really is like thriving on like a late Watcher in the web and the Stoic Builder Fork in the Road plan. And
The Watcher didn't come back.
no, it
He
did
doesn't
not.
have any
It did
yet.
not.
Like, I feel like I get that plan, but I have felt like the back of the pack it has been, I'm going to dabble in some white cards. Like the plan hasn't come together great.
Yeah,
I mean, solid. He's got a good collection of cards. There's a reasonable plan here of, blocking and eking out some incremental advantage, and then maybe and a couple bomb on commons. I mean, just having Dustwatch Recruiter and
Pack Guardian,
like
so
I'm
the
in.
dream is to Dustwatch
I'm gonna
Recruit
beat
into
somebody.
Pack Guardian.
Right, I'm gonna beat somebody with these cards. Maybe a couple somebodies.
Yeah. No, this is I think you talked about the idea that Brad coming into this draft would have been very happy with a 1-2.
Yeah, he just wants to avoid catastrophe.
Right.
Doesn't have a ton of confidence in his limited skills. Does have a ton of confidence in his standard play and his deck.
Right. And it's really relying on that is an Ever After, and that is a Rabid Bite.
Wow.
There's a Gloom Widow in the pack as well that could very well make its way around the table.
Could. You Rabid Bite here, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is going to Rabid Bite. He's thinking about that Ever After, but...
Rabid Bite's just great. I mean, unlike a lot of the green quote-unquote fight cards, you're not actually fighting, you're just dealing damage.
It's a sucker punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, happily takes a card that is right at the top of their common pick order. Right, it was right on top of their spreadsheet.
Yeah, most people have Fiery Temper, Rabid Bite, and then
those were the 2 cards written on the board.
Yeah.
So.
Deadweight.
There's a Deadweight, yeah.
There's a Macabre Waltz that he's hoping will table.
Cult of the Waxing Moon.
It's a pretty easy Deadweight.
Yeah. Intrepid Provisioners, not a ton of humans in his deck for it.
Yeah, right. I mean,
he's a little all over the place.
Deadweight's a super mana efficient removal spell. I mean, obviously can't kill a big thing, but I mean, sometimes you can shrink the big thing, and that's good enough. Potentially an enchantment to get to the graveyard if he does care about Delirium. Doesn't have much.
He just wants to control the early board here.
Right.
I mean, I think at this point in the draft, Brad is certainly much happier than Luis was at this point in the draft.
Yeah. Gloom Widow, solid curve filler.
Can't block, but
3/3 for 3.
That's just, like Brian Hacker said a million years ago about Fallen Ascari. Why would you want to?
Yeah, I mean, Brad's going to wind up with a good. He's got the makings of a good mana curve. He's going to be able to curve out. Sometimes, if he curves out well enough, he can beat people that way. He's got a couple 3/4 removal spells.
And by the way, you talked about him being weak to flyers earlier. I mean, Gloom Widow can block flyers.
No, that helps. I think that was a solid pickup.
And he may get a second one of those back.
Not a ton here for him.
Humble the Brute. Possibly a sideboard card. Solid removal.
Sure.
In the right matchup. But
True Faith Censor gets shuffled to the front. I think the card's decent.
True Faith Censor has outperformed initial expectations.
Yeah, I agree.
So many creatures are so closely aligned in power and toughness that ability to jump the curve up one shirt size is a big deal.
It's part of the reason why Rush of Adrenaline is so good, right? Just that 1 point of toughness is enough to win a lot of fights.
There's a Crow of Dark
Tooth
Tidings.
Collector.
A Tooth Collector, wow.
Sure, sign me up. Tooth Collector seems great.
And there's a Watcher in the Web. But, again, I think his eye here is on a really, not dying to some insane aggro deck in the first few turns of the game.
Yep.
You can sometimes kill 2 creatures with that. You kill a Hinterland Logger, and then, you get into combat, and that thing eats something else. That's just a 2-for-1 creature. And, if you get Delirium, it can be great.
And another Crow. A couple white Delirium creatures, but I don't think he's going to want the white splash. I don't think it's going to prove to be worth it. I don't think he's going to need
it. There's an Aim High.
Oh, Aim High. He doesn't have much in the way of combat tricks. It's reasonable. It's also an instant if he does decide to care about Delirium. Which he doesn't have very many of in his deck. I think the Crow, you can make a case for the Crow.
I like the Crow.
Aim High is his selection.
So,
Another Gloom Widow.
Yeah, that's not the Gloom Widow he opened.
Also the Rats.
Yeah, I like Rancid Rats a lot here.
I mean, he wants to block in the early game more than he wants to attack, but I think Gloom Widow 3/3 for 3 is just so much more than 1/1 for 2. You know, it's really like, do you want to block or do you want to attack, right?
Attack.
I'm in. I agree.
Attack. Parentheses, block flyers.
Right.
There's a Sanitarium skeleton.
Is Autumnal Gloom good in his deck, or is that card just too hard to set up in general?
I think it's too hard to set.
Like, if there's a deck where the card's good, it's this one. Yeah, no, not interested. But 4/4 triple hexproof. That backside looks so tempting.
It's just so difficult to take the turns off
Right,
needed to get it into play, and then
Spend 3
to turn
mana,
it
have
on.
no impact on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farbach Revenant.
I think Brad's going to be happy with this deck.
Yeah.
I mean, this deck looks maybe good. Not great, but good. Trap Envisioner comes around. Somebody else is sucking down the Watchers in the web. He's not going to wind up with those. It's funny. Yeah, I think this is a solid B of a draft deck in my mind.
Yeah, and that's basically what he wanted.
Yep.
Gets a sideboard root out.
Yeah, I still don't know if green black or green white would have worked out better. I mean, I feel like there was a solid green X deck
Why
either
not
way.
both?
Well, there are reasons. Because reasons. But his green black looks fine. I mean, it looks good. I think he'll be happy with this deck. He does have the option to splash second shard if he cared about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know that he does.
I think he's certainly far happier with his draft deck than Luis. Although Luis maybe.
Luis is capable of winning games with his draft deck too. He's going to beat somebody. He might beat a couple somebodies.
Yeah.
I feel like Brad has good power level. Like, he just has a lot of very good cards in his deck. He doesn't have a ton of synergy.
Right.
It's not like he's got, I've got the plan and I've got the archetype and like all my cards make each other better. He's got, he's kind of got a pile of cards, but it's a pile of very good cards.
Right.
Like, including 2 of the best uncommons.
It's like the bus
set.
depot. Right, like creatures from all different sections of Innistrad have come together.
Sure,
they're all
we got some
they're all
wolves,
going
we got
somewhere
some
for the
zombies.
holidays. Yeah,
Sure, but I think he's totally content.
give me a grade on the draft deck,
B.
and give me a grade on drafting the seat.
Probably also a B.
Okay, all right, there you have it. B stands for Brad Nelson. He's going to be in the feature match area playing that deck against Luis Scott Vargas very, very soon.